Behind the Shades.
My name is Daniel Jackson. I was born in the United States in a state called New Jersey, little town right next to the Delaware River, where there was a little battlefield there where the Hessians fought. And I see dead people, but they're not really dead. They have just moved on, but I see them. I have been seeing them since I was 3 years old. My whole family saw them because of living in that town, because of that battlefield. But by the time I was around 18 years old, no one else was seeing them as much as I am. And then it just has continued on all the way into my 20s, 30s, 40s, and then right before I turned 50, as I had a big event happen that my wife went away on vacation. Um, and for those 2 weeks that she was gone, I was seeing everything imaginable you could think of that was in a scary movie going on in my house. But that was just a test for me. They were testing me to see if I was going to move forward with this, what we would call a gift or an ability. And I decided to move forward with it. And because I did, now I see things differently. But not only do I see things differently, I understand things differently as well. Because when you see as many what we would call dead people as I do every day, you're going to ask questions. And the source of information that I get my information from are what we would refer to as archangels. They're not men with wings. They don't have shields and a sword. They're not fighting a battle in heaven, all that mess. That's told to you by the people who want to tell you how to live your life the way they want you to live it and give them 10%. How did they know about 10% back then? Because the people who wrote those books and all that stuff, they're kings and queens. That's how. It's all about power and control. But yes, I see things differently. I understand things differently because not only do I get information from these archangels, I also other spirit talk to me as well, and they don't say the things you think they would. They talk the same way that we do, but we would think they have some secret special message from the other side. Most of them don't. But the thing about spirit is some spirit want to be seen, but most of them just don't. Because there's gazillions of them, but not all of them are heard because why? They are living a life uninterrupted now. So I'm able to get this information, and with that information that my spiritual guides, archangels tell me every day, I know things differently than people think they are or believe they are. But the reason they believe a lot of this stuff is because we have been conditioned. We have been brainwashed into thinking so, because they don't want us to realize how much control and power we have over ourselves. Because if we found that out, we wouldn't need to rely on their control and power.
So sorry, let's take it from the beginning then. When did you discover this gift and how were you able to recognize it as such?
That was right before I turned 50. Like I said, I've seen spirit my entire life. I just really never knew why. But it was right when I was about to turn 50. When they were testing me with all this stuff, I sought out help for that. And I had a paranormal group come to my house, and they they had so much information they got from my house that they quit on my front lawn and didn't want to come back. Um, but then I sought out some mediums, and I found 5 of them. None of them knew each other, but every one of them told me the same story about me. And one of them in particular, where she had me come to her show because she said she wanted me to see how things work, which I didn't understand at the time, but I do now. And when I got to the show, I didn't tell her I was coming, but when I got to the show, I walked through the door with my wife, and she was at the back of the room, and she saw me and like locked eyes with me and watched me walk through the room and sit down. And I looked at my wife and I said, that was kind of creepy. What was up with that? And we just thought it kind of strange. So she read like 8 people in the room out of the 50 that were in there, and I happened to be the second one. And everything she was saying was dead on. But it was at the end of that show that I went down and introduced myself, and And she said, "Oh, Daniel, that's what I talked to you about 2 weeks ago." I said, "Yeah, on the phone." She said, "Yeah." She said, "I want you to stay after everybody leaves because we need to talk." And I kind of felt like I was a kid, with your teacher telling you, "Okay, you gotta stay after school, kid, because I gotta talk to you now." I'm like, "Oh, crap. What does she gotta say?" But she made light of everything for me. She said, "I understand you're seeing a lot of spirit." I said, "Lady," I said, "it's like being in a room with 1,000 people, except nobody leaves and more just keep coming in, and that's how many I see every single day, and I still see that many every day still to this day." And, she said, "Yeah, but there's a different reason there." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, they're coming to you. It's not like you're just walking in and there they are. Everywhere you go, they are because they're coming to you." And I was like, "Well, okay, what's that supposed to mean?" I said, "Why are they coming to me?" She says, "Because you look like a beacon of light." She said, "When I saw you walk in the room, I saw you." I said, "I could feel you on the other side of that door." I said, "That's strange." She said, "Well, yeah, because I don't normally have that with regular people." She says, "But when spirit sees you, they see your body frame. They see your frame and they see your frame, but they see a light inside of you. That's your soul. Everyone has one." She says, "I don't see that with you." I said, "What do you see?" She said, "You look like a big ball of light." She said, "I close my eyes. I see a big ball of light." She says, "You're glowing right now, right in front of me. When I close my eyes, I see a big ball of light." Because she's using her third eye. This is what happens. And I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "What's that mean?" She said, "Well, they're coming to you because spirit thinks you're the light into heaven." And I said, "Excuse me? What do you mean by that?" She said, "That's exactly what I mean by that." And I said, "What am I supposed to do with that?" She said, "You need to have a sit down talk with God or higher power, whichever you want to do." So I said, "Oh," she said, "I don't know, you don't want this to go away." I said, "No," I said, "It's been my entire life. I'm just used to it." It's kinda like when we're kids and our mom and dad feed us green beans, and then 30 years later, you like green beans. Why? Because you get used to it. Well, I'm used to this now. So she pointed that out to me, and I said, "Well, I guess I'll go home and have a talk with God." Once I got up on stage with her and was telling her about things, she said, "Yeah, you're seeing things, but they're coming to you." And I was like, "Okay, and why are they coming to me?" She said, "Because you look like you're the light into heaven." And I was like, "Well, that's kinda crazy." But she said, basically, you need to go home and have a talk with God and figure out what you're gonna do, and that's what I did. And like I said, I didn't know how to talk to God. My wife said, "Why don't you just talk to him like you talk to him?" So I did. So I sat down and talked to him. I said, "Look, God," I said, I said it just like that. "Look, God, I said, whatever it is you want me to do, that's what I'll do. And no matter what it is, what you want me to do, it's I'm seeing all this for a reason." And because that woman told me, she said they want you to cross them over, and I was like, I don't know how to do that. So I mean, if you want to show me what I got to do, or bring somebody here to show me what to do, then I'll just do that. I have no problem with it. I'll do whatever you want me to do, and I'll take it to the extent of whatever I need to do. And yeah, when I walked out of that room, told my wife, I said, "Okay," I just said, "Yes, and we'll see what happens." The very next day, everything changed, and I stopped seeing all it took a little while, but I stopped seeing all the crazy, scary stuff. Um, and then I started because I was seeing these skulls floating around. I was like, "I'm tired of seeing the skulls. I wanna see faces." And then when I asked for that, next thing you know, I started seeing faces. But oh, man, like I said, I didn't think, or I didn't know what I was actually saying yes to. I understand now, but I see faces all the time now. So, but like I said, the one thing I was about to tell you, which was that lady was right about something. Uh, Spirit thinks I'm the light into heaven. I am. I'm the light. Meaning, uh, when you pass away, when you leave, and it's time for you to go home, you're going to stand up out of your body. You're going to look down. You're going to see a light and go, okay, I guess I don't need this body anymore. You'll step to the left. You'll look to the right. A light's going to turn on. That's your personal light, and everyone gets one. And if you walk into that light, great. If you don't, you just remain here as an earthbound spirit. Whatever, it's your choice where you're going to go. Okay, but there's always one light that continuously shines all the time, and it not only shines, but it's in a physical body. It's a soul that's in a physical body, and it crosses spirit over into the light all the time. But so spirit, this light is shining all the time, so all spirit can see it, and not just regular spirit, but spirit who are inside the bodies too. They are, you know, guided towards it. They are attracted to it. They feel the energy. So, and then this spirit soul that's inside of this body is talking, of course. So spirit can hear that voice. Now, your voice or anybody else's voice in the world, they can tune that out because it becomes like static on TV back in the day when like you see that snow and you're there. It sounds like that. There's 7.5 billion of us. They can hear all that, but they can tune it out. But this one voice, they cannot tune it out because they have to hear it to know where to go. They have to see that light to know where to go, to cross over, to go home if they want to cross over. It's their choice. It just happens to be me. I
So
didn't
when
ask
you
for it. So when I said you leave here and your soul goes home, my soul doesn't do that. Each time that the body that it's in passes away, the next one that's born, it just jumps into the new one.
so when you are explaining this and when you're experiencing this, and
You don't want to be me.
I, well,
Yeah.
and that's actually where I was gonna go. The people knowing that you have this ability, right?
Yeah.
On the
That's
outside looking in, it
it's
can
an
be kind of
ability, but
scary.
it's an ability, but that's not. It's just the soul. So it's not something like somebody else can have. They can't. There's no other medium who has this. You're not going to find one, and they're not going to admit to it because you're never going to hear them say it because they can't because it's just not them.
Is it unique to you?
Like if you were just born and you just grew up and you were a teacher and taught your entire life. Even you were teaching people at 4 or 5 years old because it's just you. It's inside of you. That's the same thing. It's just me. I don't have control over. I can't stop souls from crossing over. It just happens. But I mean, to the point where like you'll see people see flashes of light go off around me. It's just people crossing over. I don't have any control over it. Or sometimes if I just stare off into nothingness and just look, I see these clouds going into my face, and that's people crossing over. But I don't have any control over it. But I do help the ones who are lost, who didn't know they passed away, or they made a decision that maybe they thought was best for them, but now they changed their mind. So they will come to me, and then I'll see them because I see everything in front of me. And then I will tell them, I will ask them, do you want to cross over? And they say yes. And I say, okay, and this is what you need to do. And then I instruct them on what to do. But my spirit guides had to tell me to do that too. I mean, I used to just cross over one at a time. And by the end of the day, I'd cross over 10 or 15 of them. I'd be exhausted. But I had found out through that I could cross over many at a time. And I've had an experience once where I was crossing spirit over, and because they were all earthbound, and I said, "Come on, does anybody want to cross over?" And they all look up and they see me. I say, "Yeah, there's a voice coming from this light. Don't worry about it. And my name's Daniel. I'm here to cross you over." And I cross them over, and a whole bunch of them they're going through, and all these lights are going off in my room. But I'm used to that too, so it doesn't bother me. So it's going off, and then I see the line slow down. And I said, "Is there anybody left?" And then I heard this really horrible voice in the background say, "That's enough. You've crossed over enough." And I said, "No, I haven't. I got to cross over everybody. God wants me to get them all in here." And he said, "You crossed over 6,000 people. Well, how many more do you want?" I was like, "I want all of them." And I said, "Come on, everybody line up." And I heard this voice get really nasty, growly, "No, no." And he got all angry and stuff like that. But I don't care. I'm not afraid of them because, whatever. So, because I'm protected from archangels because they protect me from all the negative energies so that I can cross them over. So, but again, this is all things that I learned from them telling me this. Because they put thoughts into my mind. My own thoughts are no longer mine. I'm only about 15% me now, and the other 85% is them. So everything that comes in feels like my own thoughts, but I have answers to a whole shitload of questions, and I could have never done that, but the answers are just, they
Well, let
just come
me
in.
let me ask you a question in regards to that.
Yeah.
How do you deal with doing this in your day-to-day life, knowing that maybe some people will be apprehensive about it and others may be accepting of it?
Oh, they're apprehensive. That's their problem, not mine. They need to get over it. I just do what I have to do. They may not like it. They may not like me, but I'm not going to get angry over what they say or what they do. Why should I? That's their issue, not mine. They just don't, these are people who are naysayers or who are against everybody or just hate the world and they want to prove everything wrong. Well, that's all them, but I seem to get everything right. So that's what they get upset about. Yeah, I
Have you
know
been able
Iggy.
to help people in regards to
Oh yeah, I'm
them
just going to.
experiencing death?
I'm just going to. What's that again?
Have you been able to like? I know that we talked about in the earlier on that I had someone that passed away earlier this year. Have you been able to help people through their grieving period by saying that this person is here and they're
Yes.
being carried along?
Yeah. So I have a I have a picture behind me. That's my book. I have some instances that happened in there that I put into the book that were like I used to go to this car show back in Delaware before I moved here. And it was just early last year when this one incident happened because I didn't write the book until last year at the end. But I was at the car show and they had this little tiki bar and I used to sit there and talk to the bartenders and eat some French fries and drink my soda because I don't drink alcohol because in order to get from what Spirit tells me in order to get clear messages I must have a clear mind. So I do. So because I do what they tell me to do because it works. So I'm sitting there and the bartender knows me and she likes me to stay late to see if there's anyone there. And I said, yeah, no problem, because it's my life every day. Doesn't make a difference to me. And I said, she says, is there anybody here? Because it was who's Annabella? Do you know her?
I don't think so. I may have to jog my memory. The name does sound familiar though, but I have to jog my memory.
You want me to hang up on her?
No, it should be fine. We'll continue just the two of us. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So I see she said, do you see anybody here? And I said, well, yeah, I see there's a guy standing here and he's got short, very short hair, but he's got a beard like mine. And he's got glasses on, but he's got his glasses on top of his head like this. And he keeps pointing to me like this, like, hey, look at my glasses. And I said, and she said, do you get a name? And I said, well, I don't normally get, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm being told his name is James. And she said, oh, is he here for anybody? I said, well, he's telling me he's for these two people down at the end of the bar. Not so much this woman here, but her husband. And she says, well, should I go say something to him? You want to go say something? I said, well, if you don't want to, I will. I said, but I always ask Spirit first if it's okay to talk to someone when I get a message in, because not everybody will accept that. They are always, they have different backgrounds, they're different religious beliefs, so not everyone is accepting of it. But they're telling me it's okay for you to go talk to him. So she says, okay. So she walks down. And then within a minute of the conversation, the woman says, oh, you mean Jim? And I said, James, but yeah, Jim's okay. And I walked down. I said, hi, my name is Daniel Jackson. I see dead people. That always breaks it up for people, And I said, yeah, his name is James, but Jim, yeah. And she said, oh, that's kind of strange. I said, well, James is here, not for you, miss, really, particularly. I said, but for your husband. And I didn't know that was her actual husband. And she said, oh. And I said, yeah, he's got these glasses on. He's got this beard like me. So when I'm saying that, her husband's like, So he pulls up a picture because he wants to see if I'm telling the truth. He pulls a picture up and he says, yeah, is Jim in this picture? I said, yeah, man, he's the guy on the right-hand side with the glasses on. And he says, yeah, that's my friend Jim. I said, he said he died 2 years ago. I said, well, Jim is here because he's here to be a spirit guide for you. And he tells me that you're his son. And that's why he's here to help you. When I said that, the wife, she just broke out into tears. She just starts crying. And I said, what's wrong? And he looks at me, he said, That's the strange part. I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I've known Jim for like 20 years. You know, him and I raced cars together. I was always interested in racing cars, and he showed me everything that I know. And I'm still racing today because he showed me everything I know." And I said, "Yeah." He said, "And whenever we would go out into, like, a social setting with friends and stuff like that, he would tell everybody that I'm his son." I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm not his son." I said, "Oh." I said, "But he feels as though, like, you are his son. That's how much he loves you and cares for you." And then his wife is just bawling her eyes out. I said, "But he's here to be a spirit guide for you." And I told him what to do at that point, and, how to work that so Jim could help him. And then, and then everybody was there was just kinda standing around with their mouths open like, and I just turned around, looked at everybody, and said everything I always say, "I can't make this shit up. How would I know this guy's friend's name is James and what he looks like if I didn't actually see him?" So, when I have those kinds of instances, I mean, just recently I went to my chiropractor and, about a month and a half ago, and I was talking to the girls up front, and one of the girls said, "Do you see anything around me?" And I said, "Yeah, there's this lady here with brown hair and brown eyes, and, she tells me her name is Sally, and she's your grandmother." And she's like, "I don't know, Mr. Jackson. I don't know of any Sally." I was like, "Well, you may not pick up on it now, but, you know." So I leave. I come back 3 weeks later. She said, "Mr. Jackson, guess what?" I said, "What?" She said, "I talked to my dad a couple of days ago. I have a great grandmother. Her name is Sally." I said, "Yeah. And how the hell would I know that?" She said, "'Cause they said something to you." I said, "Yeah, 'cause it's real." Ta-da.
So Daniel, so when you're helping people along, because it seems like you are connecting people and you're sharing these insights
Yeah.
and you're sharing what you see, right? How
Yeah,
does
they
that
wanna
make you
know things.
feel? How does that make you feel?
Um, I know I'm doing something good, especially when those types of things happen. When you help someone, when you really help someone, you know it feels good inside. And that's why it is for me. I know I'm doing something good here when I see the reactions, when I tell them things that I know about them, that they know they've never met me before and say, "How did you know that?" I said, "'Cause you're talking to the freaking medium, that's how." I said, "Because spirit is telling me, because I'm trying to let you know that this is real, and that now that you are getting this information and this is connecting with you, let's move forward so I can help you to improve the situation of what you have right now within your life." And then that's when it all comes in, and then we move forward, and I give them I get answers, and I give them guidance of what they need to do next in their lives. When you get to do that every day, I mean, what better job is there? I mean, when you're a teacher, when you teach high school, you're teaching them something, and then you're hoping that, they do something with it. But I get real results. I get real results here. I get them something that they get some validation for, and then we talk some more so I can help them to move into their next part of their lives. Now, just like a teacher, I have to hope that they do something with it, but not everybody does. We have that thing in this world that God gave us called free will, and we have to make decisions. We have to make choices for ourselves and how that's going to work for us in the rest of our lives. So, but I do the best that I can, but knowing that I'm helping them right then and there, that's the best feeling in the world, and I can't replace that, and I don't wanna change that. So because I'm able to do that, gives me more inspiration every single day that I wake up to go out and do it more.
Do you view life and death differently
Oh, yeah.
now? How
People get
so?
upset with me when, when people pass away because I don't get upset because I know where they're going. I know where they are. And I know the places that they are much better off than where we are here. And I say that in that type of way. I say, oh well, he's in a place now. He doesn't pay bills anymore. He doesn't have to, he doesn't have to keep the lights on or keep food in his belly because he doesn't eat anymore. So he's pretty happy where he's at right now. And how can you say such things? Well, because it's the truth. It's just it's just you have not been taught the truth. You've been taught a lie your entire life. That's why. So, once you turn it around and look at it in that aspect, why would we feel so, oh, but I want them to be back here, but they're not meant to be here anymore. You are. They're not here for a reason. You are. And you have to let go of the fact that they're not supposed to be here anymore, and you are. And when you think about it in that way, you won't feel so bad of where they are because you're just going to do what you have to do to finish up here so you can go be with them too and everyone else.
Can you share what that place feels like and looks like if you know it?
Oh, I know what it looks like. I see it.
Ooh,
It's,
enlighten us, my friend. Enlighten us.
yeah, it's not what you think it is. Heaven, what we call heaven, is not some tropical island specifically or anything like that, or paradise or something like that. It's paradise for the reason that there's no pain, there's no anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, none of that stuff. There's no broken bones. You are pure energy at that point. You're no longer in a body anymore. You are still you, and you are the you that you would know now. Like, you will leave here. The soul that's inside of you right now does not look like you. It looks like you the last time you were here, but it will retain your shape this time. And then when you get there, you will absolutely be you, but you'll absolutely have all the memories from all your previous lifetimes, including this one, which will make you a more than you. So, but you will still be aware of you being yourself. And you'll understand, hey, I've been here a boatload of times. Man, I've been living a boatload of times because I got a lot of other memories that I didn't recall from this past life, but you'll know it. But but I've seen there is structure there. I see buildings there. I see people walking around. I don't see people walking up and hugging each other per se as a greeting. I see them walk up to each other and they bow to each other. And then I hear them talking, but it's telepathy. It's not, they're not using a voice box because they don't have one anymore. But they are just walking around and just being together, doing whatever they want to do. And it's a very peaceful place. I can tell you that. And I see them walking around. I saw this woman walking with a child, and she had on this like long Elizabethan type dress on, and he had like little short pants on and a little hat. So they are dressed. I know that. But again, they are pure energy at that point, so they can manipulate themselves to look like whatever they want to do. But yeah, it's a wonderful place. I saw some people that look like they were at like a kind of circus playground in the background. I saw some people there who just do not look like people, as we would say, human beings. They almost looked like a cartoon form. But I have seen other beings there that are just not human beings. They just look different, but it's just that's what they look like where they come from. Because if people think this world is the only place but humans want or people want it, no. So
Sounds peaceful and it
it's very
sounds
peaceful. Very nice.
reassuring. You know how sometimes, Daniel, we think that, and maybe this plays a part in why people get upset. They think when someone passes away, they're going to
They miss
be
them.
eternal suffering
Yeah,
in
yeah,
a
they're
way,
not.
right?
No one's suffering. No, no. And then, but I also see in the earthbound realm as well. And but they are there because they made a choice to not go into that light. And sometimes because they are people who were just horrible people, or and they wanted to stay here because they like that horrible feeling. They are negative energies. There's a ton of them there. Or because when you stand up out of your body, you get all the perfect memories of your lifetime here, but all the perfect memories of all your other lifetimes. When you know you've been here 26, 27, 28 times, that you also know if you walk into that light, there's a chance you might have to come back again. And they don't always want to. So they stay here.
Does that
But
happen?
Oh, there's gazillions of them. There's gazillions of them, and I see them all, and those are the ones I will try to cross over if they wanna cross over, but I I I remember once I was in the hospital, and I was laying in the hospital bed, the roommate guy, he was sleeping, and I saw this woman's face come in, and again, they don't see me like you know, they see me like a ball of light, so they're not sure what I am, so she came in, and she's kinda staring at me, looking at me, and I didn't say anything yet, and then I saw another woman's face come in, and then they look at each other and they said, "Hey, how are you?" "I'm good, how you doing?" And then the next thing you know, I was like, "What do you think?" And the other one said, "Sure." And then they started kissing. And I was like, "Hmm, interesting. Okay." And then I saw a man come in, and then the two women stopped kissing. One man and a woman started kissing. The other one just kind of stood there. And then another man come in. They stopped kissing. The two women went back to kissing. The two men went to kissing. And I was like, "Wow, this is like one big giant spirit orgy, and I'm not invited. What's going on here?" So I said out loud at that point, I said, "Maybe you guys ought to get a room." And they all stopped kissing and turned around like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, there's a voice coming from the light. My name's Daniel. I said, I'm here to cross you over. Does anyone want to cross over?" And one of the men spoke up, and I could hear it in my mind. He said, "No." And I said, "What do you mean, no?" He said, "No, I don't want to cross over." I said, "Do you know what it means to cross over?" He goes, "Oh, we absolutely know what it means, but we don't want to go." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I got friends here." He said, "Plus, there's no rules." And I said, "What do you mean there's no rules?" And he said, "There's no rules here." He said, if I walk into that light, it's all about, love and just that, you know?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Yeah, well, here I can do whatever I want." He said, "If I want to come into your realm and antagonize somebody, I'm allowed because there's no rules here." And I was like, "Oh." He said, "Yeah, if I want to throw an ashtray or something like that, I can do that." He said, "Because I think it's funny." I said, "Oh, you because you're playing a practical joke, but you're scaring the heck out of somebody." He said, "Yes, absolutely, but I think it's funny." Because why? Because people here do that same thing. They pull pranks on people. 'Cause why? Because they think it's funny. But there are negative energies as well that do that. But what happens is they're trying to produce a feeling. They're trying to produce fear. They want you to feel fear. And why? Because they feed off of that negative energy. I call them energy vampires. And they do this on a purpose. They don't want you to die. They're not trying to kill you. They can't possess you because the like two magnets, they can't take up the same space. Two souls cannot take up one body. They just can't. One body is filled with one soul. There's no room for another one to come in there. So, but these things will try to scare you. And then what they do is when they scare you, what do you think of right away? Demon or devil. Why? Because you've been taught demon or devil. And then because you've taught that and you think that in your mind, now because they speak to each other through their minds, they can read what's going on in your mind. Now they can manipulate themselves to look like a demon or a devil. They come through, scares the crap out of you. You produce fear, they feed off of it. And they will continue to do it as long as you feel that that thing is a scary thing. Or you could just say, no.
Is that
It's that simple.
how do they use the fear of us to their advantage?
It's food for them. They are trying to produce fear from you so that they can draw that energy from you because for them, they are negative energies. In order to function where they are, they have to have that fear, that negative energy so they can feed off of it because the place that they are in is a very low energy place. And there's not a lot of it there. When you go into the light, it's just light energy. When you are here in this earthbound realm, it's darkness. And there is energy going through there, but it's bands of energy. It looks like little rivers flowing through. And in order for them to collect energy, for them to stay feeling okay, because if they don't, they get like we do. When you're run down of energy, you feel almost sick. You feel very tired. Well, they need that energy still, but they are in a low energy place, so they have to go collect some. And they walk up to these rivers and they cock their heads back, and it looks like they go into a dream state, and they collect it in, and all of a sudden they come out and they go, and then they're okay again for a while until they have to do it again. But the real negative ones, they're actually the color red, and they really need negative energy to to remain that constant, stable feeling. So in order to get that, they can get some of it from the negative people who've decided to not cross over into the light, who were just crappy people, or they come through and they get it off of us because they know they used to be like one of us. They know there are tons and tons and tons of crappy people here producing negative energy all the time. We call it karma, all that stuff. We call it, oh, I'm walking around and I'm gossiping about people because I think it makes me feel more powerful than you because I know more than you do, or I'm somebody who bosses people around and tells you you're a piece of crap and blah blah blah. That when you do that, you're producing negative energy, and they feed off of that. So they will come through here and they will get some of it for themselves, and that's what they. So, I mean, you hear about people who have really bad hauntings at their home because of some negative energy in their home. Why do you think that is? Not because there's a spirit. It's because the people who are there are producing this negative energy.
And they're
They're
feeding off of
causing
it from those who are living in that house.
Yeah, they are causing it themselves. They don't realize that. They're just usually crappy people, and they want to know why. Oh, this bad energy's coming at me. If you would stop being a crappy person, you wouldn't have these problems. It's that simple. But they don't. They want to blame it on something else. Why? Because they're people who blame everything on something else and not themselves.
So Daniel, as you're highlighting this and as we go into closing now, what's something that you want to leave with our audience and perhaps the next generation in regards to this?
Don't judge people. Stop judging each other. We don't have the right to judge each other. God doesn't judge us. We think God judges, but we judge ourselves 1,000 times a day. Why does he need to do it once more? Because he doesn't. So when you see someone who's coming up to you and you're about to think, oh, I don't like their shoes, I don't like what they're wearing, or I don't like their hairdo. You know what you do? Before you do that, make a self-inventory of yourself. Think about everything that you've gone through your entire life and think about all the crap that you have been through and struggled through your life. And then look back at that person and think, you know what? They probably went through some crap too. And then you give them a second thought and you say, you know what? I don't need to do this. And then you bite your tongue and you walk away. Because no one should. Because why? We're all equal. We all came to this place the same way. We're all leaving this world the same way. We can all go back to the same place if we choose. But we're all equal. So no one has the right to judge anybody. Let that go. Instead of judging them, how about say hello? Greet them. And see how much maybe you could change their day, because maybe they are having a crappy day. Maybe that's why they put on some crappy shoes and a crappy pair of sweatpants or something. Maybe they just didn't feel like being themselves today because they were not in a good mood. And then look at them and say, hi, how are you? And lift their spirits up. And maybe they will turn around and have a conversation with you and say, oh, I'm better now that you said something because I was having a horrible day. But thank you. No, thank you.